The episode opens on a quiet morning at Heartland when Amy looks up to see Tia Miller walking toward her. The last time they spoke, things ended with frustration, accusations, and hurt feelings. So, when Amy sees Tia again, her guard instantly goes up. She expects another argument, another moment where her skills as a horse trainer are questioned. But this time, Tia looks different, tired, worried, and carrying a weight on her shoulders. Tia takes a deep breath before speaking. She tells Amy that she found something important the night before. Polaris, her horse, had an abscessed tooth. It was hidden, deep enough that she didn't notice it. The infection had been building long before she ever brought Polaris to Heartland. Hearing this, Amy softens. But before she can respond, Tia continues, explaining she didn't come to blame Amy. She came to say sorry. Amy listens carefully. She knows how easy it is for fear to turn into anger, especially when a horse is suffering. She gently explains that an infected tooth can easily cause colic-like symptoms, something she suspected. Tia says her own vet confirmed Amy was right. The room grows quiet. It's the kind of silence that only comes when two people finally understand each other. Tia apologizes, truly and honestly, for doubting Amy's abilities. It's a moment of peace after days of tension. And Amy, always compassionate, accepts the apology with grace. The tension between them melts away. For the first time, they stand on the same side, not as trainer and critic, but as to people who deeply care about horses. Amy later calls Nathan, wanting to clear the air with him too. After realizing she also doubted Gracie too quickly, she apologizes. Nathan appreciates it, but Lou still doesn't trust the situation. To Lou, something about Gracie doesn't feel right, and she isn't ready to let it go. This opening sets the emotional tone for the entire episode. Misunderstandings healed, relationships tested, and honesty becoming the bridge that brings characters closer. While Amy deals with apologies and misunderstandings, another quiet storm is building inside the Heartland Ranch, one that no one notices at first. It starts during a simple family dinner. Lou, Katie, Lisa, and Jack sit together, sharing food, laughing, talking about plans for the weekend. But beneath the warm family chatter, Jack is drifting further away without meaning to. As the conversation moves around the table, Jack's face shows a strain he tries to hide. He leans in, squints slightly, pretends to follow along. But the truth is painful. He can't hear half of what's being said. When Lisa casually mentions picking up her dry-cleaned shirt, Jack completely mishears her and responds with confusion, insisting he doesn't want a shirt. The room falls awkwardly silent for a moment. Everyone notices something is off, but Jack pushes on, acting like nothing happened. Later that evening, the silence of the house surrounds him. Jack turns on some music, hoping it will relax him after the hard day. But what should be gentle, familiar sound becomes frustrating. He can barely hear anything. He presses the volume higher and higher until the whole house is shaking with noise. Lou walks in, surprised by the loud music, and tries to speak to him. Jack doesn't react, not because he's ignoring her, because he doesn't hear a single word. When he finally notices her, he covers it up with a small lie. "I thought no one was home." But Lou's worried eyes say she doesn't believe him. The next day, Jack stops at the supermarket and notices Dex asleep in his car, surrounded by belongings that clearly haven't moved in a while. He knocks on the window hard enough to wake him. Dex startles, embarrassed and tired. Jack sees every detail. This isn't just a bad day for Dex. This is someone drifting dangerously close to losing everything. Jack tells him firmly, "You might want to come up with a better life plan." Dex insists he's serious about bull riding. Jack tells him to go back to his parents, but Dex refuses with a kind of desperation mixed with pride. Through all of this, Jack keeps pretending everything is normal. But inside, fear grows. The world is slowly going quiet for him, and he doesn't know how to stop it. He doesn't want to burden his family. He doesn't want to look weak. He doesn't want to admit that the man who has always been the strongest at Heartland is struggling with something he never saw coming. This section marks the beginning of one of the most emotional arcs of the episode. Jack facing the one thing he can't control, losing his hearing. Dex's life takes another downward turn when his car gets towed. Everything he owns, even his phone, disappears with it. With nowhere to go, he wanders into Katie's writing class. He looks exhausted, frustrated, and out of place. His emotions spill out in the wrong way. He criticizes her story harshly, calling her character boring. The room goes silent and Katie stares at him, stunned and hurt. But Dex quickly realizes his mistake. His anger wasn't about her story, it was about losing control of his own life. He apologizes softly, asking if she can give him a ride to the ranch. Part of her wants to say no, but the look in his eyes, lost, scared, softens her. She agrees. When they arrive, Jack is fixing the rooftop, hammer in hand. hiding his growing struggle with hearing. Dex approaches him slowly, like someone trying not to spook a wild animal. He apologizes again for the mess he caused in the past, saying he never meant to break Jack's trust. This time, Jack hears the sincerity in his voice, even if he can't fully hear the words themselves. With a deep breath, Jack gives him another chance. One night, he says. But then he surprises everyone. He invites Dex to join them for dinner. Katie watches the growing connection, happy that Dex is finally getting a place to breathe. Dinner should have been warm, but Jack's hearing troubles turn it into another moment of tension. Conversations float past him like broken echoes. He misreads comments. He responds to the wrong questions. Lou and Lisa share worried glances, and finally, they ask him what's going on. Jack snaps, frustrated and embarrassed, pushing them away emotionally. The room freezes. Jack, the strong center of Heartland, feels like he's slipping. The next morning, Dex approaches Jack again, this time with a dream laid bare. He wants Jack to train him as a bull rider. Jack refuses at first, thinking Dex isn't ready for that life. But Dex doesn't back down. His voice cracks as he admits riding makes him feel alive, maybe the only thing that does. Jack's anger fades. He sees the boy behind the mistakes. Finally, he agrees to train him. Training begins immediately. Dex climbs onto the bucking barrel, wobbling, trying to find balance. Jack's voice guides him, strong and steady despite everything he's hiding. Amy, Lou, and little Lindy arrive, watching from a distance. Lindy, full of curiosity, wanders off unnoticed. She spots a ladder leaned against the house and climbs up without fear. Halfway up, her foot slips. The ladder falls to the ground with a harsh thud. Lindy freezes, terrified. She calls for help. Dex hears her instantly. Jack does it. Dex sprints toward her, reaching out just in time. Carefully, he helps her down, step by shaky step. When she reaches the ground, she looks at Jack with confusion and hurt. "Why didn't you answer me?" she asks. Jack's heart sinks. He doesn't have an excuse left. Only the truth he's been afraid to face. This moment, Dex saving Lindy, and Jack realizing how much he missed shatters the last wall he was holding up. Asterisk after Lindy's frightening rooftop moment. Something inside Jack finally breaks, not in a painful way, but in a freeing one. That night, he sits with Lisa, the weight of everything he's been hiding written all over his face. He takes a long breath, the kind a man takes when he's finally ready to stop pretending. Then he tells her the truth. He's losing his hearing. The fear, the frustration, the embarrassment, it all pours out. And Lisa, steady as ever, doesn't react with shock or pity. She simply reaches for his hand, reminding him he doesn't have to face this alone. The next morning, she's already making plans for the hospital, determined to help him get answers. But before Jack can leave, Dex shows up, nervous and unsure if he even belongs there. Jack approaches him quietly, something softer in his eyes. He thanks Dex, really thanks him for helping Lindy when he couldn't. It's not dramatic or loud. It's the kind of honest gratitude that carries real weight. And then, in a moment Dex never expected, Jack offers him a job at the ranch. Not just a place to sleep, but a place to start over. He also agrees to fully coach him as a bull rider, giving Dex a purpose he hasn't had in a long time. For the first time in the episode, Dex looks like he believes he might actually have a future. Meanwhile, a new story is unfolding away from the ranch. It's Prom and Nenah's wedding day, and Prom is shaking with nerves. Amy stays by his side, calming him with her quiet confidence. When he delivers his wedding ride perfectly, the whole crowd celebrates. Nathan arrives late, breathless and apologizing. But Amy meets him with a smile that says she's simply happy he's there. After the ceremony, the two share a moment that feels gentle, warm, and full of unspoken emotion. Nathan gives her a thoughtful necklace, something meaningful, something personal. But the real heart of the scene comes when Nathan finally asks the question he's been holding back. Would you ever marry again? Amy pauses, the weight of her past and the possibility of her future hanging in the air. Then she answers softly, yeah, one day. When she asks him the same question, and he responds the same way. Their quiet smiles say more than any long speech ever could. It's a hint, not a promise, not pressure, but a spark of something real and growing. Back at the hospital, Jack finally receives his hearing device. The moment he turns it on, the world returns to him. He hears music clearly again, the kind he hasn't heard in months. His eyes soften with relief, and for the first time in a long while, Jack Bartlett breathes without fear. The episode ends with a sweet scene between Katie and Dex. She visits him during training, admitting he was right about her writing. She rewrote her story, and this time, she's proud of it. Dex asks if he can read it, and Katie, shy but smiling, invites him to help her with it. It's small, quiet, and tender, but it's also the beginning of something new. Every character ends this episode a little changed, more honest, more open, and more connected. Love grows, trust rebuilds, and Heartland once again shows that healing comes in many forms. As the dust settles after all the emotional moments of the episode, Heartland leaves us with a final wave of feelings, quiet, warm, and full of possibilities. This section isn't loud or dramatic. Instead, it lingers in the small moments, the ones that say everything without needing big speeches. It's the calm after the storm, but also the doorway to something new. The camera takes us back to the ranch, where Amy stands for a moment in the fading daylight. She touches the necklace Nathan gave her, not in a romantic rush, but in a thoughtful, almost surprised way, as if she's realizing how long it's been since someone gave her something, simply because they cared. Her conversation with Nathan still hangs in her mind. Would you ever marry again? It wasn't just a question. It was vulnerability. It was Nathan opening a piece of himself he rarely shows. And Amy's answer wasn't a promise, it was hope. Something she hasn't allowed herself to feel in years. Meanwhile, Nathan walks to his truck after the wedding, replaying their moment in his own mind. He smiles quietly. The kind of smile that comes from finally letting your heart speak after holding it back for too long. He doesn't push anything. He doesn't rush. But he knows what he feels. And for the first time, he dares to imagine a future that includes someone beside him. Back at the ranch, Jack watches Dex train with the pride he hasn't felt in a long time. Dex may be rough around the edges, but Jack sees something strong in him, something worth guiding. For Jack, training Dex isn't just about bull riding. It's about giving a young man the direction he once needed himself. And as Dex finds his balance on the barrel, shaky but determined, Jack realizes he's not losing his purpose. He's rediscovering it. Katie, on the other hand, stands off to the side with her notebook pressed to her chest. She watches Dex with a quiet smile, part admiration, part curiosity, part something she doesn't quite understand yet. Their earlier arguments, their awkward moments, their misunderstandings, all of it suddenly feels like a strange beginning. Like to people who were supposed to collide before they could connect. And Lindy. She holds Jack's new hearing device case as if it's the most magical thing she's ever seen. She doesn't fully understand what happened, but she knows one thing: her great-grandpa can hear her again. She hugs him tightly, and Jack's eyes soften with gratitude. He's learning that even the strongest men sometimes need help, and that asking for it doesn't make him weak. It makes him human. The episode leaves each character standing at the edge of something new. Love that might grow, dreams that might finally come true, relationships that might deepen, and challenges that might still come. It's the perfect setup for what the next episodes will explore: hearts healing, bonds strengthening, and choices that could change everything. As episode 7 draws to its quiet ending, Heartland leaves us not with answers, but with questions that echo long after the screen fades to black. The ranch settles into nighttime stillness, lights dim, doors close, and the characters step into their own private thoughts. But for the audience, the story is only just beginning. Amy stands outside the barn, the breeze brushing past her hair, the necklace resting against her heart. She isn't thinking about marriage in the way people expect. She's thinking about possibilities, about whether she deserves another chance at love. After everything she's endured, T's memory still lives in her. But for the first time in years, she isn't afraid of imagining what if. Nathan didn't push her. He didn't confess anything dramatic. All he did was ask a simple, honest question. And sometimes, that's all it takes for a heart to shift just a little. Nathan drives home under the dark sky, thinking about Amy's answer. One day, those two words plant something hopeful in him, not a promise, not a guarantee, just a spark. He knows that healing takes time, and he's willing to wait. The way he touched her hand during the wedding ride, the way they looked at each other afterward, it wasn't rushed. It was gentle, organic, the kind of connection that grows slowly and deeply. Meanwhile, inside the barn, Dex sits on a bale of hay, catching his breath after training. For the first time in a long while, he feels like he belongs somewhere. The ranch isn't just a roof over his head, it's a path forward, a place where someone believes in him. And the person he's thinking about even more than Jack is Katie. Her honesty, her fire, the way she pushed him to be better without realizing it all sticks with him. He rereads a line from her story that she shared earlier, and a small smile crosses his face. Maybe she's rewriting her future. Katie, back in her room, does the same. She flips through her notebook, her new story glowing with confidence she didn't know she had. She thinks about Dex's stubbornness, his honesty, and the way he apologized with real sincerity. She won't admit it out loud, not yet, but something about him makes her curious, interested, maybe even hopeful. And Jack sits in his favorite chair, listening to music at a soft, comfortable volume. He closes his eyes, grateful for the simple miracle of sound returning to him. He thinks about Dex, about Lindy, about the family that never lets him fall too far. His hearing may have changed, but his spirit hasn't. In fact, it feels stronger than ever. The episode ends not with a big cliffhanger, but with a feeling warm, soft, and full of anticipation. Will Amy and Nathan take the next step? Can Dex prove himself under Jack's guidance? And is something new beginning between Katie and Dex? Heartland doesn't give us the answers yet. It simply hands us the questions and invites us to care deeply about what comes next. Every Heartland episode leaves behind a trail of emotions, but episode 7 weaves its threads more gently, more thoughtfully, as if reminding the audience that healing is never loud, it's quiet, patient, and sometimes hidden in the smallest moments. This final section of the breakdown looks not at what happened, but at what the episode means, and why these moments matter so deeply. The first thread is trust, fragile, easily broken, but powerful when rebuilt. We see it in Amy and Tia's reunion. What began in anger ends in honesty. The moment teaches that misunderstandings can become lessons when both sides choose to listen. Amy's growth shines here. She never clings to resentment. She responds with calm understanding, proving again why she is the heart of Heartland. Another thread is courage, not the loud kind, but the fear-filled courage Jack shows when he finally admits the truth. Hearing loss is more than a medical issue for him. It touches his pride, his identity, his ability to protect the people he loves. When he finally says the words out loud, it becomes one of the most vulnerable moments in the season. Jack's storyline reminds viewers that strength isn't about always being okay. It's about being brave enough to face what hurts. Then there's redemption, woven strongly through Dex's journey. He starts the episode lost, rejected, and carrying the consequences of old mistakes. By the end, he stands in a place of hope. Thanks to Jack's belief in him and Katie's unexpected support, Dex is more than a troubled character, he becomes a symbol of second chances. This episode prepares him to grow not just as a bull rider, but as a person learning to trust himself again. And perhaps the softest, most delicate thread is new beginnings seen in Amy and Nathan's quiet, meaningful exchange. They don't confess love. They don't rush into anything. Instead, they open a door just a little, allowing light to enter. Their moment speaks to anyone who has experienced loss. It gently suggests that it's okay to move forward, even if the steps are small. Finally, the episode ties everything together with family in all its forms. Whether it's chosen family like Dex finding a home at the ranch, or blood family like Lindy trusting Jack with her whole world, Heartland shows that love is the force that keeps everyone grounded. Episode 7 doesn't rely on dramatic twists. Instead, it leans into emotion, growth, quiet truths, and heartfelt connections. It becomes a reminder that even on the hardest days, there is always something worth holding on to: hope, love, and the promise of better tomorrows.